Hello viewers and welcome to a little bit of Spyhunter gameplay on the Vita. We'd like to cover more of the handheld games as well as everything else, and certainly Martin's been testing out all the new Vita stuff. Just to give you guys the odd video, if you're ever looking at buying it, perhaps you've got a Vita for Christmas and you're looking at buying some of the new games, we'll get a few of those on here. So I know not for everyone on the channel, but certainly I think when you want to have driving on the go, you want to see all the new titles. Now, this was released in November, and as you can see, Martin's just choosing his car. Decisions. Go with some go faster stripes, always the way. So he's just going through the different options and giving you a look at the different menus. Martin will be producing a review, which will be linked below this video once it goes live, of his impressions. So obviously he's just starting the game. He's probably had a couple of goes practice, and away he goes. He's going to see what it's all about. The Vita. Interesting to know how the Vita's actually doing at the moment. Certainly it's another, you know, I bought the PSP when it came out, and you know, wasn't all we had hoped it would be, that they charged a bit too much for the games. The retro packs didn't have enough games in them, and the people like Sega obviously didn't know the value of what games were what back in the day when it came to converting the retro packs. They were always very disappointing. Talking of retro, this is obviously a conversion from a retro game, Spyhunter. I don't know if we'll show a bit of the retro game. We might do at some point. We'll wait and see. It's something we'd like to cover more of on the channel. Now, the look of the game is trying to retain the retro feel in terms of the basic look, but in 3D. So lots of action. I say that, this looks like it's a very, very dull, long road. Oh no, we have a boost now, that's better. These games always felt so fast from the overhead view. So we're catching that truck, which is going at about 200 miles per hour. Oh, no, stopping now. We have a bit of storyline perhaps. They're moving some sort of equipment. No, I didn't read that at all, really. And off we go then, we have it. So we have the item, very Bond style, blowing everything up. I've no idea what's in this video, by the way, viewers. I've no idea at all what we're going to be seeing today. But we've got guns on the car, and we're going to blow stuff up. We've got lock-on rockets. Ignore the slowdown, that's not in the game. That slowdown's the camera. Ignore that. There's no slowdown in the game. So you might occasionally see that. It's just the way the camera films. So you want to drive and shoot the enemy. You can see it's going to get quite intense. Now they've gone with this whole fogging approach to it. I don't know if the whole game's going to be like that. I think it detracts a little bit from the look. I mean, they've gone for this retro feel, but the fogging doesn't fit in with a retro feel at all, because it's not bold. You want bold, clear colours all the way to the horizon. I think without that it loses the visual style, which is a little bit disappointing. I think this is a problem that we've raised before with WRC as a good example. You know, it's difficult for games companies to invest in massive titles on the Vita if they're not certain that they're going to get their money back, and it does cost a huge amount of money even producing games like this. And I think at the moment everybody's trying to make a game for the Vita to help it sell, to see if it establishes itself. But the Vita, you know, it depends where you're going to use it really. You know, it's the sort of thing you'd end up using at home rather than out and about, because quite frankly, if you're going to use this anywhere in public transport, it's going to get stolen in 2 minutes. It really is something that stands out. The screen is absolutely fantastic though. I do urge anyone who hasn't played one, pop along to a game store, try it out. The screen is absolutely fantastic. And some of the games, you know, as I say, WRC really is like the console game. You know, yes, it has effects removed from it, but on the whole it really is very impressive indeed. And we've got some videos on the Vita for Vita fans of Need for Speed coming up as well. So we'll be showing some of that. Again, I haven't played Need for Speed Most Wanted yet, but I have it here now, so I will be playing it. Blow up those bad guy scum. Certainly it's been a busy year though, and I hope that we can cover more of these Vita titles in the new year. Publishers are quite, reticent to share these titles for whatever reason. Certainly we requested to get hold of the new Sonic, but they didn't want to show it to us. But on the whole I was quite surprised, because it's quite impressive on the Vita, though I have to admit it handled very poorly on the console. I couldn't get to grips with it at all. Visually it was nice. Frame rate let it down. I think that 60 frames really does help, and I think we saw that in F1 Race Stars. F1 Race Stars would probably have been a good conversion to a handheld like this. It's nice and simple, would have converted well. We'll have to see how F1 games develop in the future while we avoid these nails they're chucking across, trying to stop you. So lots of obstacles. I suppose in a way it's a bit like when you're under fire in Grand Theft Auto and you go on a rampage. But on the whole it's not quite the rawness of the arcade game. But in the arcade game you'd have been dead now 10 times over and your money would have run out. So the arcade game was horribly intense back then. Survived for about 4 seconds. If you're watching this and you're a fan of Action Fighter, do let me know. I thought Action Fighter was far superior. That was available on the Master System. I would love to do a video of that as well. Had amazing music. I could hum you the music, but I think you wouldn't want me to hum you the music. But it was hummable. And Action Fighter fans will know what I'm talking about. Gets in your head back then, those tunes. Plinky plonk tunes. So Martin's sorted his next kit for the next mission. The touchscreen stuff is always a weird one, isn't it? It's like, hey look, here's a touchscreen button, not that you need to use it, but we thought we'd use it anyway for the sake of it, because we can. Be interesting to see more use of the different controls. Though I have to admit, I'm always someone who's critical about the positioning of the analog stick. I think it should have been pride of place, and instead it's been given the silly nub position that it had on the PSP, which really, if you have big hands, it's very uncomfortable indeed. Certainly for me it is. Oh, anger issues indeed. The bad guy there sounding very Alien-esque. It's like something out of Inspector Gadget. The whole game is actually... Oh, we have a different viewpoint here. So we have different viewpoints in the game as well. I'm learning this as you're watching it. And we have a big truck behind. That might just be for this one mission, actually, with the big truck thing chasing us. We've just got to outrun this dude, so it's a truck, isn't he? He's weaving around, so with the road that wide, it shouldn't be that difficult to outrun it. The road really is very wide, isn't it? Just boost. Chuck a few boxes in the way, a few things to blow up and make it look exciting. Well, there's been a few games like this released over the years. There was one released on the PS1 years ago, but I honestly can't remember what it was called now. It's funny, when back in the PS1 era, I knew every game that was released back then. I used to work in game shops, and of course you know all the new releases all the time, and you're on top of it all. I can't remember the name of the game now. It came out at the same time as Race Storm, around that era, 97. It was a very similar style of game. Didn't look hugely different to this actually. This is more of a PS1 game. In a way, dare I say, it's probably more of a PSP game that's been converted rather than a Vita game made for the console. But again, that takes me back to that point of, you know, investment, what they need to make the investment. This needs to do well here, and if it does well, then you'll see more elaborate developments in the future, no doubt. Wow, that truck is tough. Took the train out, no problem. It's like Duel, isn't it? It's like Duel, but except you've got a fast car instead of a rubbish slow one. If you haven't seen Duel, watch Duel. It's a great car, truck, movie type thing. Onto the wide desert road. This game definitely has, I think, the widest roads and dirt paths in the history of the world. I was watching a programme last night about the roads of Madagascar. Goodness. Now they're a difficult bunch. Now if somebody wanted to do a 4x4 off-road game, that's where you'd want to do it. So we've got away from the dual truck. We'll say adios to that guy. No doubt we'll turn up again later. It sounds more like a Decepticon now though, now I think of it. So this should mean the end of the mission. And I think I cut some of that out. And on to the next bit. Now waiting for the launch button. There we go. The eager thumb there creeping in. And away we go. So we have some dodgy music in the background from Rock and Roll Racing. Ripped off. Talking about Rock and Roll Racing. Now that was a great game back in the day on the Super Nintendo. It was converted to the Mega Drive, but the Super Nintendo version was always far superior. 2-player action. Wow. They should release that on Live Arcade. In fact, if they'd released that on Live Arcade a few years ago, updated, it would have done huge. But Live Arcade now, there's so many games being released that are rubbish that you have to, it's a needle in a haystack trying to find the good ones. I think also the idea behind Live Arcade has changed a fair bit. I'll talk about that on a Live Arcade video. I'm rambling, viewers. I think I'm rambling because there's not really a lot to do here, is there? Dodge the mines. Dodge the mines. Yeah. So you go one way, then the other way. That's the cunning setup they've got for you there. Followed by a plane with massive engines. No, that's fine. Okay, let's go there then. You don't need to know the storyline, do you? Blow stuff up. Drive fast. That's it. Let's take that guy down. Heat-seeking missiles. Taking the beats. That's it. Lovely. Bit of chain gunning action. It's all gone a bit Bondy as well. So we've gone into big off-road mode. Let's take these dudes down. Boom. Double takeout. Now this is just the first sort of main sort of mission I've taken for you guys on this video. We won't be doing any more. This was really just a trial to see, so you guys can see what Spyhunter's all about. But on another note, I hope you guys have all been enjoying your Christmas. It's been certainly a nice relaxing break for everybody. I hope you've got a Vita for Christmas. If you have, then you'll be enjoying lots of games. I think certainly there is a whole handful there to look out for. I think that E3 this year is going to be showing a lot more games and stuff you can look forward to. I say a lot more, probably about 10 or 15 really good titles on the way. Really depends on the sales. It's so competitive now with mobile gaming, isn't it? I mean, when you look at what Android phones and iPhones are capable of now, it never ceases to amaze me. And that's the issue here. If you have a mobile phone that can play good games, would you carry a Vita with you as well? Do let me know. Let me know your thoughts on that. So here we are then. The last part of this major video is to take out this plane that lands luckily for you so you can blow its engines up. Boom! And we're taking that guy out. No, he ain't going anywhere. Certainly not. Perfect. Pilots are all dead. We just ran them over and blew them up. What a vicious game. There's violence, there's death and destruction. And now there's more guys in cars. These guys have families. People care about them. No, they don't. They don't. They're not real. We're not real. You're allowed to use whatever force necessary. That's it. A nice fat lock on before the tunnel. And we find a helicopter type thing in the tunnel as well. It's all gone very Mission Impossible. I always thought that scene let the first film down. But I have enjoyed Ghost Protocol. Thought that was good fun. A few laughs in it. Okay viewers, so that's it for this Spyhunter video. I hope you've enjoyed my rambles of nonsense, and as ever there'll be more from me very soon, along with some Need for Speed on Vita.